Ladies and gentlemen, I've been planning on making this video for quite some time, so it's safe to say your boy is excited. So, ever since I started taking a deeper look into the lore of this game and the backstory of Brawl Stars dating back to around the first Brawl Pass in this game, so more than 2 years ago. Every single seasonal update that's come out up until this point, whether or not I made a specific video dedicated to it, I've always investigated every single minute detail that could be related to backstory or lore, whether that's, for example, the Starr Park crowns that was hidden in the environment way back in the day, or even more recently when we found that alien DNA Morse code in the Eve season. So much like all the seasons, I did the same exact thing for the current season that we're in right now. Now, normally, I don't always make a video whenever an update comes out on the things that we end up finding, but I thought, you know what, might as well bring you guys along with me, the things that we found during Season 13, and the reasons as to why maybe Season 13 is a little bit more important than you all might think. So what I typically look for in the realm of lore whenever a new update comes out are specific changes that don't really have any explanation from a Brawl Talk or the Brawl Stars dev team or even patch notes. But of course, since they were either changed or introduced, there has to be some sort of meaning behind it because the Brawl Stars dev team went in intentionally and made those changes. Whether that change is incredibly simple or deep is kind of left up to us to theory craft around, but I think those specific changes are important to take note of, so take all of that into consideration as we move forward in this video. You may have already heard about this or noticed it for yourselves. I know Kairos covered it in one of his sneak peek videos covering Season 13 in the very beginning, but something changed here in this update that has never been changed before to my knowledge since Brawl Stars has been a thing. And that is some of the most OG or old brawlers here in this game have had their descriptions changed. Now, what makes these changes so significant is all the older brawlers here in this game's description has always been just what they do in Brawl Stars mechanic-wise. For example, Rico here. Rico fires a burst of bullets that bounce off walls. His super burst is a long barrage of bouncy bullets that pierce targets. So basically just a description of what Rico does. But for these handful of brawlers that got their description changed during Season 13 are more so a showcase of their character, as in what they do or where they're at inside the Brawl Stars universe. For example, this one for Barley. Barley readily serves up the finest beverages in Starr Park. Dirty his bar through the steam comes out and bottles start flying. So not what Barley's abilities does in Brawl Stars, but what Barley does in lore or the Brawl Stars universe in Starr Park. Here's Brock's description change. When Brock's not lighting up the battle with rockets, he's lighting up the dance floor with his smooth moves. Moving to Colt, an unlikely hero that often finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's not one to shy away from the mirror and is simply brimming with confidence. Next, we have Dynamike. Long thought lost deep down a mine. Mad Dynamike is back, and he's still itching to blow everything to smithereens. Penny's a rebel without cause. Mischievous Penny rules the high seas. She's a bona fide menace on the lookout for adventure and will stop at nothing for plunder. Next, Tara's what's in the cards for you? This mystic from a far land has come to read your fortune. It says simply defeat. But then finally, probably in my opinion, the most interesting out of all of these description changes, we have one of the two beginning legendary brawlers in this game, Crow. This enigmatic creature just appeared in town one day. Nobody dares to ruffle his feathers. Not anymore. Crow has always had a little bit more deeper ties here when it comes to Starr Park and lore in Brawl Stars. With the whole theory surrounding people getting turned into brawlers, it was theorized that Crow was one of the original founders of Starr Park, along with Crow, Mr. P, as well as Bo. So maybe Crow has a little bit more significance in his description because he might be a little bit more significant than the other people in Starr Park or Brawl Stars. And then I would say probably my other most favorite, or the one that's most intriguing to me, is Barley, seeing that Starr Park is mentioned in the description itself, and we had a dedicated animation to Barley way back in the day that garnered quite a bit of attention. It was an advertisement, but it basically showcased his position in the Brawl Stars universe as a bartender. But those were all of the description changed from basically what they end up doing mechanic-wise in the game of Brawl Stars itself to their personality or characteristics within the Brawl Stars universe or Starr Park. Very, very interesting. But moving on to the next thing, and that is key characteristics within the Season 13 environment itself, the maps specifically. The two most important things within this environment, in my opinion, are both the octopus animatronic, as well as the radioactive barrels found throughout the map. First, to break down the octopus animatronic, it's significant, one, that we're able to see this thing finally, but we're finally also able to see what its purpose is within the Brawl Stars universe. We've on several different occasions been able to see these tentacles popping up, but really no context as to what it actually was. But seeing now that we have a full-on look here in the environment itself, we can actually tell what it is. In Starr Park fashion, basically an amusement park, it makes a ton of sense. It's an actual ride itself. So it could be theorized that the arms going haywire is because it is malfunctioning to a certain degree and kind of taking on a mind of its own, a attacking animatronic. I'm sure you guys have heard of that kind of stuff in popular video games, lore heavy video games. But taking a look at this here, the octopus is a type of an amusement ride in the shape of an octopus. 5 to 8 arms attached to the central axis spin and move up and down in random, while cars at the end of the arms, either attached directly to the arm or fixed on spinning crosses, spin freely or stay in place, depending on the exact type of ride. As for a little idea as to what you might be able to see from this ride specifically in an actual amusement park, it would kind of look like this, which is exactly what we see in the environment itself. Of course, some of the arms are broken off here, so some damage to the ride, but as you can see, much like in the photo and the description, it's holding these submarines. So the submarines would be the thing you would hop into and then ride around. So again, why the arms to ride within the amusement park of Starr Park took on a mind of its own in past seasons as well as this season really is up for debate, but still very, very interesting here. I think it's a pretty dang important lore piece within Season 13. But next up, moving along to the radioactive barrels. Radioactive chemicals and experiments with biohazardous material is not uncommon to be heard when talking about Starr Park. Most of the storyline and the things that went down that we could see in the Invest in Your Future video was a key result to experimentation with chemicals and trying to utilize them in brainwashing and other experiments. For example, we see things like this over here on the starpark.biz website, a actual manual or a guide to disposing biohazard materials. The steps are as followed. Safety first, take all precautions, adhere to protocols, remember this is our secret, restrict exposure to the eyes, and then it's cut off and everything is normal, you guys know. And I mean, most of the lore and the plot points behind the Summer of Monsters update that we had way back in the day was due to a big toxic spill. The reason Surge was introduced to the game was because he was a superhero to fight against the villains, which the villains in the whole context of the Summer of Monsters update were brawlers that were exposed to these toxic chemicals that were spilled, thus making them turn into these giant brawlers, and Surge had to fight against them along with Max. So seeing these chemical barrels pop up in Season 13 could be chalked up to this was the way they disposed of the chemicals, much like we saw in the manual. They just chucked them in the ocean, man. So these very well could be the chemicals that Starr Park tried to cover up or get rid of, and may be a reason as to why a lot of strange things have been happening. Maybe that was the reason why the octopus ride took on a mind of its own or malfunctioned to a degree. Really interesting. Next up, switching our focus for a second from lore examples in Season 13 to maybe some confirmation that there is indeed something significant about Season 13. Taking a look at a tweet from Francie here. Francie, artist, a very noteworthy figure inside of the Brawl Stars community and just recently started working with Brawl Stars. Noteworthy here during Season 13, developing several skins such as the Octo Fang skin and more, as well as doing a lot for the artwork that we can see on the loading screen here during this season. But as you can see, confirming this, we have Francie saying, cool part about working on Brawl Stars is I can propose to do a Toilet Surge skin or a Mr. P. Chad skin. So basically just saying, you know, he's working with Brawl Stars. But the tweet that I found really interesting was 2 days after Brawl Talk came out. So basically we already knew the gist of the update that was coming around the corner. We have Wasim tweeting out here, I had a nightmare that I leaked Brawl Talk, guys. Hey, I always have those nightmares. But we have Francie replying here, I did have a same nightmare, but instead of leaking Brawl Talks, I was leaking lore. So this could very well suggest that Francie knows that there's lore here to be leaked during season 13 that we are not aware of. And even other people in the replies to this comment kind of running along with that aspects. Come, la lore? This guy's saying, so that means there is a lore and you are hiding it from us. I thought it was really interesting, almost kind of giving some sort of credibility that there actually might be some lore here in season 13 that might be kind of related to the overall Starr Park ongoing mystery. And running with that for a little bit, I did want to bring up that when the WKBRL ended up making the huge significant change, the entire rebranding, basically Starr Park Corporation found the ragtag team that was running the WKBRL live stream before and made it more corporate, where its whole purpose was to brainwash the people within Starr Park. It ended up changing once the Brawl Stars dev team came back from their vacation, which they're currently on, which would make a ton of sense. Come back from break with an update in hand to get the entire community really excited. Everyone loves updates, but also on the other hand, the huge community of people that are invested in lore development in Brawl Stars also getting excited as well. So you never know, maybe the significant things that we found here in this video might have some significance in leading us to maybe something happening once the Brawl Stars dev team comes back. What that is, I have no idea. But next, switching our sights to the Penny Remodel map that might have some interesting things related to lore. In my opinion, it's pretty dang cool to see this. This is basically the map that Penny ended up finding, washing in the ocean, and led her to find her remodel with the X marks the spot. Basically the current season that we're in with that deep sea brawl vibe, the jellyfish and stuff like that. But there are some other bizarre things on the map, such as previous environments that we had in the game that actually at the time had some significance with lore, such as the Summer Splash update. We have the dinosaur there. We have the pirate update, which happened such a long time ago with those tentacles. But if we take a look at some of them that don't really have any explanations to them, one of which we have a flag here with a robot on it. Seeing that this is a map that shows Penny's remodel, it could also be argued that maybe it's just a bona fide like remodel map. Several people theorizing that this means that sometime down the line there might be a remodel to the robots that we have in the game. And probably the most other strange thing about this map is, of course, we have the Starr Park symbolism on the compass with the Starr Park smile smack dab in the middle. But the other thing that honestly I can't put my finger on as to why the compass is upside down. We have north pointing down, south pointing up, west pointing east, and east pointing west. So what that means, I'm not quite sure. Maybe we need to look at the map upside down to find something significant, but I would love to hear what you guys are thinking about that specifically, because I really don't have a great explanation for it. Moving along to the thing that I think I saw the most from you guys, at least when it comes to lore here in Brawl Stars, is on the loading screen itself, we can see that they're underwater, i.e. under the ocean, right? Deep sea brawl, but in the very background, we have an exit sign. So I guess there's a few interesting theories about this exit sign. Some people have said that maybe, just maybe, this was a portion of Starr Park and the theme park that we know of that wasn't at the water under time, and maybe some sort of significant disaster ended up happening at Starr Park and they tried to cover it up with these crazy animatronics bugging out and toxic chemicals that they're trying to hide. Maybe it wasn't underwater at some point. And some other interesting talking points or theories that I've been seeing popping up from people in the community is that it feels like they're underwater, but the things that you see from the characters that are obviously underwater is kind of strange. Like, for example, Colt is just wearing his shirt up to his nose. Same with Fang, as well as Belle's skin has a mask on. In my opinion, that's not the proper equipment to be able to breathe underwater. Otis really is the only one that's doing it right. But I think it's really interesting when we see them just covering up their nose and mouth with what we already know from this video with the toxic chemicals under the water, which Starr Park seemingly is trying to hide. Maybe it's what's causing the chaos in the background with those tentacle arms popping up and causing havoc in previous seasons and in this current season. And maybe they don't want to be exposed to whatever's going on down here with the toxic chemicals and things like that. Moving along, I just want to briefly bring this up, seeing that we already made a dedicated video on this that people were talking about from season 13. If you want further context, make sure to check out the video. It was just a little bit too long to jam pack into this video specifically, but the whole theory around this stemmed from the Brawlies. The Brawlies award show was very rich with Starr Park lore or just really interesting stuff related to WKBRL, Spewed, but in the Brawlies there was a skit where it showcased Danny and Paula inside of scuba suits, thus theorized giving us a sneak peek or an Easter egg to this update coming out right now, the Deep Sea Brawl. Not only the environment itself, but the Brawler that was coming out. So other people went through the skits that were also in the Brawlies, and this one popped up and people ran with it. It was also on the same level of like weirdness as the skit with Danny and Paula underwater. We have Danny as well as an individual playing hockey. People thinking that maybe this could also be a sneak peek to a future update around the corner, maybe a sports heavy update or a theme around sports, maybe a game mode that is sports related, sports updates. Sports game modes in Brawl Stars are pretty successful and very, very popular, so I think it would make sense. And seeing that the only other key figure other than Danny in this is a hockey player, some people are thinking that much like in the skit where Danny and Paula are in the scuba suits underwater, giving us some sneak peeks as to the Brawler coming out in this update, maybe this is giving us a sneak peek as to what the Brawler would be if this update were to come, a hockey Brawler. But again, if you want further context, make sure to check out that video. Now, we really only have a few other things to get into. I wanted to put this in this video because it gives us a little bit more insight as to who Kairos Tim was before the channel was taken down. We have this person here over on Reddit saying, who is Kairos Tim? And we have Kairos actually replying here. Lord Kairos Time says he's a hired actor used to spread lies about Starr Park. Don't trust him. Also, he's the fake Kairos. IRL Kairos Time says, I've never met her. She's someone on the Supercell marketing team, I think. I can't remember exactly, and she had the most similar body frame to me, so she learned some of the mannerisms for the deepfake. She did an absolutely incredible job too. I was told this by someone else on the marketing team back when Brawl Stars sponsored the Mr. Beast Squid Games video. I was on site with Lex and I couldn't stop laughing when they confirmed my suspicions that Kairos Tim's actress was a woman. So some of our theories back in the day about Kairos Tim that we were making in videos before the channel was taken down, because you can't deepfake people online and make a YouTube channel trying to copy the likeness of an actual real person. But Kairos is kind of confirming some of the theories that we had back then, that Kairos Tim was actually a girl and someone working for Supercell. And then the final thing I wanted to bring up here with all of you guys isn't necessarily lore related, but I found it really, really interesting. We have this user on Twitter here, CYNO, saying, fans of Brawl Stars and Starr Park, I need your help. I got this shirt at Goodwill today. Thought it looked cool, so I picked it up. I survived the baggage blaster. To find more info about it, seems I've stumbled onto an ARG rabbit hole. Super curious if anyone could give me context. So guys, I don't know if you remember this shirt, but this shirt was literally given to all the different content creators that were sent packages from Starr Park when Starr Park was kind of in its heyday. I own one of these, so it's very, very bizarre to see someone random picking up this at Goodwill. It would suggest that one of the content creators gave the shirt away, or maybe someone else wanted to get it out into the wild for some reason. Don't know if there's anything else significant behind that. I just found it really, really interesting that people are actually getting this outside of, like, you know, the whole Brawl Stars Starr Park environment or people creating content around it. But there you have it, everyone. Those are the more noteworthy things that we found in season 13. Whether that translates to anything significant coming around the corner, we'll just have to wait and see. Of course, there were a few other smaller things that I don't think would fit nicely in this video, that I don't also think have that much significance. But yeah, you guys, hey, whenever a new season comes out, there's always a bunch of fun stuff to dive straight away into. Of course, be sure to let me know what you're thinking about all the things that we discussed here today. I love dialogue on these types of videos. If you guys didn't notice already, I eat this stuff up, dude. I love Starr Park and lore and Brawl Stars. But yeah, everyone, if you found this video enjoyable, make sure to slap a like on it. Really appreciate that. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Keep having fun with Brawl Stars, and we'll see you all in the next one. Adios and take care.